the PlayStation 1 was a game changer. It took gaming into a whole new era of 3D worlds, cinematic stories, and unforgettable characters. With a library packed full of classics, the PS1 gave us some of the most iconic games ever made. In this video, we're counting down 60 of the greatest PS1 games of all time. This is part 1, where we go from number 60 all the way to 31. Let's jump right in. Starting at number 60 is Grandia. Grandia may not have been as mainstream as Final Fantasy on the PlayStation 1, but it's still one of the most beloved RPGs of its era. Originally released on the Sega Saturn in Japan and later brought to the PS1 worldwide, Grandia delivered an epic adventure filled with charm, heart, and one of the best battle systems of its generation. You play as Justin, a young adventurer with dreams of exploring the unknown, who soon gets swept into a journey that spans continents and uncovers ancient secrets. What makes Grandia stand out is its unique combat system, mixing turn-based strategy with real-time elements. Positioning, timing, and interrupting enemy moves all play a big role, making battles feel dynamic and engaging compared to many other RPGs of the time. On top of that, Grandia shines with its colorful world, expressive characters, and light-hearted sense of wonder. The game captures that childlike thrill of discovery, turning each new town, dungeon, and mystery into something exciting. While it might not have had the same spotlight as Final Fantasy VII or X, Grandia still left a lasting mark and remains a true PS1 gem for RPG fans. Next up, at number 59, is Arc the Lad. Arc the Lad is one of the PlayStation's earliest RPGs and a game that went on to build a strong fanbase. First released in Japan and later brought to the West through the Arc the Lad collection, it mixed tactical, grid-based battles with a classic RPG story about adventure, friendship, and saving the world. The combat system was easy to learn, but offered enough depth to keep players hooked, requiring smart positioning and timing during battles. It wasn't as flashy or widely known as some of the bigger PS1 titles, but it showed how much potential the console had for strategy-based RPGs. What makes Arc the Lad memorable is how it became the foundation for a full series. Later games expanded the story and mechanics, but this first entry set everything in motion. Its visuals and music added to the experience, making it stand out as an early example of what the PlayStation could deliver in the RPG genre. While it may not be the most famous game on the system, Arc the Lad is still an important part of the PS1's history and a solid pick for fans of tactical role-playing games. Next at number 58 is 007. Tomorrow Never Dies. Based on the James Bond film of the same name, Tomorrow Never Dies brought the secret agent action to the PlayStation 1 in 1999. Instead of being a first-person shooter like GoldenEye 07 on the Nintendo 64, this game went with a third-person perspective, giving players a different kind of Bond experience. You play as the iconic British spy, taking on missions inspired by the movie. The gameplay mixes stealth, gunplay, and gadgets, letting you sneak past enemies, engage in firefights, or use Bond's signature tools to complete objectives. The game also included vehicle sections, which added some variety and gave players a chance to step into Bond's high-tech cars and gadgets. Visually, it looked solid for the time, and the soundtrack helped capture that James Bond feel. While it wasn't as groundbreaking as GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies still found its audience among PS1 fans who wanted their own 007 adventure. It may not be the best spy game ever made, but it delivered that mix of action, stealth, and Bond flair that kept players entertained. Next at number 57 is Frogger. The classic arcade game Frogger made its way to the PlayStation 1 in 1997, bringing the simple but addictive gameplay of the original into the 3D era. The goal was the same as always: guide your frog across busy roads, rivers, and other hazards to reach safety, but now with colorful graphics, larger levels, and new challenges. The PS1 version expanded on the classic formula by introducing themed stages, different environments, and more varied obstacles. Instead of just dodging cars and hopping across logs, players had to deal with things like moving platforms, tricky enemies, and precise timing. The game also added a time limit for each level, keeping the action tense and forcing you to think fast. Multiplayer was another highlight, letting two players compete in split screen to see who could get their frogs home first. This made it a fun pick-up-and-play game, perfect for quick sessions with friends or family. While Frogger on PS1 didn't completely reinvent the series, it brought the arcade classic to a new generation of players and kept its trademark mix of challenge and simplicity alive. It's a reminder of how timeless Frogger's gameplay really is. Next, at number 56, is Dino Crisis. Released in 1999 by Capcom, Dino Crisis is often described as Resident Evil with dinosaurs, and that comparison makes sense. It was directed by Shinji Mikami, the same creator behind Resident Evil. Instead of zombies, players faced deadly prehistoric predators in a tense survival horror setting. The story follows Regina, a special agent sent to investigate a mysterious research facility where scientists have been experimenting with dinosaurs. Things quickly spiral out of control, and survival becomes the main goal. Much like Resident Evil, the game uses puzzles, limited ammo, and exploration to build tension. But the dinosaurs are faster, smarter, and far more aggressive than zombies, making every encounter feel dangerous. Dino Crisis stood out with its real-time 3D environments, which gave it a different look compared to the pre-rendered backgrounds of Resident Evil. The atmosphere was full of suspense, with narrow hallways, sudden ambushes, and the constant threat of being hunted down by raptors or the massive T-Rex. While it never reached the same level of fame as Capcom's zombie franchise, Dino Crisis earned a loyal fan base and remains one of the most memorable survival horror games on the PS1. Next at number 55 is Legend of Mana. Released in 1999, Legend of Mana is the fourth entry in Square's beloved Mana series, and it brought a fresh take on action RPGs to the PlayStation 1. Instead of following a set linear path, the game let players shape their own adventure using the unique Land Make system. By placing artifacts on a world map, you created towns, dungeons, and storylines in the order you wanted, making each playthrough feel different. Combat stayed true to the Mana style, with real-time battles that were fast and flexible. You could chain combos, use magic, and even recruit pets or golems to fight alongside you. This gave the game a lot of variety and made every encounter feel dynamic. What really made Legend of Mana stand out, though, was its presentation. The hand-drawn 2D art was stunning, filled with detail and color, giving the game a timeless storybook look. Yoko Shimomura's beautiful soundtrack added even more charm, and it remains one of the most celebrated PS1 soundtracks today. Though its open-ended structure wasn't for everyone, Legend of Mana became a fan favorite for players who loved its creativity, style, and the freedom to shape their own journey. Next at number 54 is Time Crisis. Released on the PlayStation in 1997, Time Crisis brought the arcade light gun experience home and became one of the console's standout shooters. Known for its fast-paced action and unique pedal system in the arcades, the PS1 version adapted the formula with the GunCon controller, letting players duck for cover, pop out to shoot, and reload with precision. The game puts you in the role of Secret Agent Richard Miller, tasked with rescuing the president's daughter from a criminal organization. The story is classic action movie stuff, but the gameplay is where Time Crisis shines. The timer system kept the pressure on, forcing players to move quickly while staying accurate. And the cover mechanic added a layer of strategy that made it stand out from other light gun shooters. At home, the PS1 port captured that same arcade thrill, especially with the GunCon. Even without it, the game was still fun, though the full experience definitely came from using the light gun. Time Crisis became a favorite for arcade fans and showed how the PS1 could deliver that quarter-munching action in your living room. It's simple, fast, and still remembered as one of the best light gun shooters of its time. Next, at number 53, is Metal Slug X. Metal Slug X hit the PlayStation 1 in 2001, bringing one of SNK's most action-packed arcade shooters to the console. This run-and-gun classic is actually an enhanced version of Metal Slug 2, featuring new enemy placements, extra weapons, and smoother performance that fix the slowdown issues from the original. The gameplay is pure chaos in the best way possible. You blast your way through waves of soldiers, tanks, and massive bosses, all while rescuing POWs and grabbing power-ups. The game's humor also stands out, whether it's the exaggerated animations, over-the-top explosions, or quirky enemy reactions. Metal Slug X never takes itself too seriously, making it just as fun to watch as it is to play. On PS1, it captured the arcade feel well, even if the hardware couldn't quite match the Neo Geo's visuals perfectly. Still, It offered fans a chance to enjoy the non-stop action at home without needing to pump coins into an arcade machine. With its mix of tight shooting mechanics, wild set pieces, and a signature art style, Metal Slug X remains one of the most memorable 2D shooters of the era, and a highlight of the PS1's action game library. Next at number 52 is Mega Man 8. Released in 1997, Mega Man 8 was the Blue Bomber's big leap onto the PlayStation, and it kept the classic side-scrolling action alive while giving the series a fresh look. The game featured bright, colorful 2D visuals, smooth animations, and animated cutscenes with voice acting, which gave it a different feel compared to the older 8-bit and 16-bit entries. The core gameplay stayed true to the formula: defeat robot masters, gain their special weapons, and use them against other bosses. What Mega Man 8 added were new stage designs, swimming sections, and even vehicle segments, which helped shake up the pace. The weapons themselves also felt creative, giving players different strategies for tackling enemies and obstacles. The game is also remembered for its quirky English voice acting, which wasn't exactly polished, but added to its charm over the years. Despite mixed reactions at the time, fans have come to appreciate Mega Man 8 as an important part of the series' history. While it didn't redefine the franchise, Mega Man 8 showed that the Blue Bomber could still deliver fun, challenging platforming on the PS1, making it a solid entry in one of gaming's most iconic series. Next at number 51 is Parasite Eve. Released in 1998 by Square, Parasite Eve was a unique blend of survival horror and RPG elements, making it stand out among other PlayStation titles. It followed the story of Aya Brea, a New York police officer who becomes entangled in a bizarre and terrifying outbreak caused by mutated mitochondria. The setting alone felt fresh, mixing modern-day New York with horror and sci-fi themes. Gameplay combined exploration and puzzles like a survival horror game, but battles used a real-time system with RPG mechanics. You could move Aya around the battlefield while waiting for the action bar to fill, then choose attacks, magic-like parasite energy powers, or weapons. This gave the combat a strategic feel while keeping the tension high. The game was also praised for its cinematic presentation. With pre-rendered backgrounds, detailed cutscenes, and a dark, haunting soundtrack, Parasite Eve had an atmosphere that pulled players in. It wasn't just about scares, it also delivered a deep, engaging story that kept players hooked from start to finish. As one of Square's boldest experiments on the PS1, Parasite Eve became a cult classic and remains one of the most memorable games from the era. Next at number 50 is Einhander. Released in 1997 by Square, Einhander was a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that showed the company could do more than just RPGs. Unlike traditional shooters of the time, Einhander had a sleek sci-fi style and fast-paced gameplay that made it stand out as one of the best shmups on the PlayStation. The game put you in control of a small fighter ship sent by Earth to attack the moon colony. What made it unique was its weapon system. You could grab weapons from defeated enemies and switch between them on the fly. This gave battles a lot of variety and strategy, letting players adapt to different situations instead of relying on a single loadout. Visually, Einhander looked fantastic for its time, with 3D graphics, smooth animations, and cinematic camera angles that kept the action intense. The electronic soundtrack added to the futuristic vibe, making every stage feel fast, stylish, and atmospheric. Though it wasn't as well known as Square's bigger titles, Einhander gained a strong reputation among fans of shooters. Its mix of challenging gameplay, innovative mechanics, and polished presentation helped cement it as one of the most impressive action games on the PS1. Next at number 49 is Croc Legend of the Gobbos. Released in 1997, Croc Legend of the Gobbos was one of the early 3D platformers on the PlayStation, and often remembered as a charming, family-friendly adventure. You play as Croc, a green crocodile raised by small furry creatures called Gobbos, who sets out to rescue them after they're kidnapped by the evil Baron Dante. The gameplay followed the classic platforming formula, running, jumping, and tail-whipping enemies while exploring colorful levels filled with secrets. The controls were a little clunky compared to some other platformers of the era, but the game made up for it with its fun worlds, creative level design, and lighthearted personality. Collecting Gobbos hidden throughout the stages added replay value, especially for completionists. Visually, It was bright and colorful, with a cheerful soundtrack that matched the cartoony style. For many players, Croc was their first taste of 3D platforming on the PlayStation, making it a nostalgic title that still gets remembered fondly today. While it didn't reach the heights of Crash or Spyro, Croc Legend of the Gobbos carved out its own spot in PS1 history as a fun, charming platformer that helped shape the genre in the early 3D era. Next at number 48 is Dragon Quest VII. Released in 2000 for the PlayStation, Dragon Quest VII is one of the largest and most ambitious entries in the long-running series. It followed the story of a young hero and his friends as they traveled between the present world and a series of mysterious islands, restoring history and helping people along the way. The game kept the traditional turn-based combat that fans loved, with plenty of strategy in choosing your party and using skills effectively. It also introduced a class system, letting characters change jobs and learn new abilities, which added depth and replay value. While the game's graphics were simple compared to other PS1 titles, the 3D overworld and charming character designs gave it a unique feel. What really stood out, though, was the sheer size of the adventure. Players could easily spend over 100 hours exploring islands, solving quests, and leveling up their party. Dragon Quest VII wasn't the fastest-paced game, but its storytelling, world building, and classic RPG mechanics made it a favorite for series fans. For anyone who enjoys long, detailed adventures and turn-based combat, it remains one of the best RPG experiences the PS1 had to offer. Next, at number 47, is Rayman. Released in 1995, Rayman was one of the PlayStation's earliest platformers and quickly became a favorite thanks to its colorful visuals, creative levels, and catchy soundtrack. You play as Rayman, a limbless hero on a mission to save his world from the evil Mr. Dark and restore the Great Proton. The gameplay is classic 2D platforming, with tight controls, clever obstacles, and lots of hidden secrets. Each level offered unique challenges, from tricky jumps to imaginative enemies, keeping the experience fresh throughout. Rayman's animation and design added personality, making the character memorable and appealing to players of all ages. The game also stood out for its polished presentation. Bright, detailed backgrounds, smooth animations, and an upbeat soundtrack made exploring its world a joy. Despite being a 2D platformer in a time when 3D was becoming the focus, Rayman held its own and proved that great platformers could still thrive on the PS1. Rayman set the stage for a series that would continue to grow and evolve, and it remains a beloved classic for its charm, level design, and pure, fun platforming gameplay. Next at number 46 is R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. Released in 1998, R4 Ridge Racer Type 4 was one of the PlayStation's standout racing games. Unlike earlier entries in the series, this one focused on more realistic cars and tracks, while still keeping the arcade-style drifting that made Ridge Racer popular. The game featured a variety of modes, including single races, time trials, and a championship mode that let you unlock new cars and tracks as you progressed. The drifting mechanics were smooth and satisfying, and mastering them was key to winning races. The soundtrack, with its upbeat electronic tunes, added to the high-energy racing experience. Visually, R4 looked impressive for the PS1, with detailed cars, vibrant tracks, and smooth frame rates that made the action feel fast and exciting. It wasn't just about speed. Timing your drifts and picking the right lines around corners made every race feel strategic. R4 Ridge Racer Type 4 is remembered as one of the best racing experiences on the PS1. It combined arcade fun with a touch of realism, great visuals, and a killer soundtrack, making it a must-play for fans of racing games. Next, at number 45, is Colony Wars. Released in 1997, Colony Wars was a space combat game that gave PlayStation players an exciting mix of fast-paced dogfights and strategic missions. You take control of a starfighter, battling against the oppressive Earth Empire across various campaigns and missions set in a sprawling sci-fi universe. The gameplay focused on intense space battles with a variety of ships and weapons. Players had to manage shields, ammo, and positioning while taking on waves of enemy fighters and massive capital ships. The game also featured branching missions, where your performance and choices could change the outcome of the story, adding replay value. Visually, Colony Wars stood out on the PS1 with its 3D space environments, detailed ship models, and cinematic cutscenes that gave it a movie-like feel. Combined with a strong soundtrack and tight controls, it delivered a thrilling space combat experience that kept players coming back for more. While it wasn't as well known as some other PS1 titles, Colony Wars earned a dedicated following and is remembered as one of the console's best space shooters, offering hours of action-packed battles and immersive sci-fi storytelling. Next, at number 44, is Die Hard Trilogy. Released in 1996, Die Hard Trilogy brought the action of the movies to the PlayStation in a unique way. The game is split into 3 different gameplay styles, each based on a Die Hard film: third-person shooting, light gun shooting, and driving levels. This mix gave players a variety of experiences all in one game. You play as John McClane, taking on terrorists and other threats across the 3 movie-inspired sections. The shooting levels are fast-paced and fun, the driving stages add some high-speed variety, and the light gun sections replicate arcade-style action. Each part feels distinct, but comes together to create a full, entertaining package. The game also stood out for its humor and references to the films, giving fans plenty of moments to enjoy beyond the action. While some parts of the game are easier than others, the variety keeps it interesting from start to finish. Die Hard Trilogy is remembered as a creative and fun PlayStation title. Its mix of gameplay styles, movie-based storylines, and solid execution make it a unique pick among PS1 classics and a nice change of pace from standard action games. Next, at number 43, is Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster. Released in 2000, Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster is an action-packed beat-em-up that lets players step into the shoes of the legendary martial artist himself. You follow Jackie through a series of missions to rescue kidnapped friends while battling a variety of enemies using his signature martial arts moves. The gameplay focuses on hand-to-hand combat, with smooth combos, counters, and interactive environments that let you use objects as weapons. The controls are simple enough for casual play, but still offer depth if you want to master the combos and special moves. Levels also feature platforming sections and light puzzle solving, giving the game a nice mix of action and exploration. One of the standout features is the humor and personality injected into the game. Jackie's reactions, fight animations, and the over-the-top enemy antics make it fun to watch as well as play. The 3D graphics are colorful and lively, bringing the levels to life without feeling cluttered. While it may not be as famous as other action games on the PS1, Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster is remembered fondly for its entertaining combat, charming style, and the chance to feel like a martial arts hero for a few hours. Next, at number 42, is Syphon Filter. Released in 1999, Syphon Filter was a standout action stealth game for the PlayStation. You play as Gabe Logan, an agent working to stop a deadly virus from spreading while taking down a dangerous terrorist organization. The game mixes stealth, shooting, and strategy, giving players a variety of ways to approach each mission. Players can sneak past enemies, use gadgets, or go in guns blazing, depending on their style. The level design encourages exploration, and finding all the items and completing objectives adds replay value. The controls were solid for the time, and the shooting mechanics were tight enough to make firefights satisfying. Syphon Filter also impressed with its cinematic feel. Cutscenes, mission briefings, and dialogue helped build a tense spy atmosphere that felt closer to a movie than many other PS1 action games. The graphics and sound were polished, enhancing the overall experience. It's remembered as one of the best stealth action titles on the PlayStation, combining solid gameplay, an engaging story, and memorable characters. Syphon Filter set the stage for sequels and remains a classic for fans of tactical action games. Next, at number 41, is Wild Arms. Released in 1997, Wild Arms was one of the PlayStation's early standout RPGs, combining traditional role-playing elements with a unique Wild West-inspired setting. You follow a group of heroes on a quest to stop an ancient evil while exploring towns, dungeons, and wide-open landscapes. The game features turn-based combat with a simple but effective system, along with a party of characters who each have their own abilities and weapons. One of the highlights is the puzzle solving in dungeons, often requiring clever use of character-specific tools, which adds variety to the adventure. Visually, Wild Arms used charming 2D sprites on 3D backgrounds, giving it a distinctive look for its time. The music, composed by Michiko Naruke, is also highly praised, blending Western-style melodies with classic RPG themes to create a memorable soundtrack. While it may not be as widely known as other PS1 RPGs, Wild Arms made a strong impression with its setting, story, and gameplay. It laid the foundation for a long-running series and remains a solid choice for anyone looking to experience a classic PlayStation RPG with a unique twist. Next at number 40 is Wipeout 2097. Released in 1996, Wipeout 2097 is one of the PlayStation's most iconic futuristic racing games. You pilot high-speed anti-gravity ships through a series of challenging tracks filled with twists, turns, and deadly obstacles. The game combines tight racing mechanics with weapons like missiles and mines, adding a layer of strategy and chaos to each race. The visuals were striking for the time, with smooth 3D graphics, detailed track designs, and a sleek, futuristic aesthetic. The electronic soundtrack, featuring artists like The Prodigy, helped give the game an adrenaline-pumping vibe that matched the fast-paced racing perfectly. Wipeout 2097 also stood out for its difficulty and speed. Mastering the tracks required precise timing and quick reflexes, making victories feel rewarding. Multiplayer mode added even more fun, letting friends compete head-to-head in intense races. It's remembered as one of the best racing experiences on the PS1, and a game that perfectly captured the thrill of futuristic speed, style, and music. Even today, Wipeout 2097 holds up as a classic in the genre. Next at number 39 is Pac-Man World. Released in 1999, Pac-Man World brought the classic arcade hero into the 3D platforming era on the PlayStation. You play as Pac-Man, who sets out on a mission to rescue his friends and stop the evil Talkman, combining the series' iconic maze gameplay with new platforming challenges. The game mixes running, jumping, and eating pellets with light combat mechanics, letting Pac-Man defeat enemies in fun, simple ways. Levels are varied, featuring colorful worlds, secret areas, and collectibles that encourage exploration. The game also has charming cutscenes and a playful tone, staying true to Pac-Man's lighthearted style. Pac-Man World was praised for successfully translating a 2D arcade classic into 3D without losing what made it fun. The graphics were bright and cartoony, and the controls were responsive, which made platforming enjoyable rather than frustrating. While it wasn't as revolutionary as some other PS1 platformers, Pac-Man World gave fans a fresh way to enjoy a classic character. Its mix of nostalgia, exploration, and simple fun gameplay helped it stand out and remain a memorable title for PlayStation players. Next at number 38 is Air Combat. Released in 1995, Air Combat was one of the PlayStation's earliest flight shooters and helped establish the console's reputation for arcade-style action games. Players take control of fighter jets in fast-paced aerial battles, completing missions that range from dogfights to bombing runs. The game's appeal lies in its simple, pick-up-and-play controls, combined with challenging enemy encounters. You can perform barrel rolls, loop-de-loops, and other maneuvers while engaging in high-speed combat, keeping each mission exciting. Choosing different aircraft with varying stats also added some strategy to the gameplay. Visually, Air Combat made good use of the PS1's 3D capabilities, with detailed jets, expansive skies, and impressive explosions that brought the battles to life. The sound effects and music helped enhance the intensity, making it feel like a true arcade flight experience at home. While not as deep as modern flight simulators, Air Combat was a fun, accessible game that delivered thrilling dogfights and exciting missions. Its success led to a long-running series, and it remains a classic example of the PS1's arcade-style action games. Next at number 37 is Gex Enter the Gecko. Released in 1998, Gex Enter the Gecko brought the classic 2D platformer to 3D on the PlayStation with a lot of humor and style. You play as Gex, a wisecracking gecko who's sucked into the media dimension, a world made up of TV channels, where he has to battle enemies and collect remote controls to stop the evil Rez. The gameplay mixes standard platforming, jumping, tail-whipping enemies, and exploring levels, with unique themed stages inspired by different types of TV shows, like horror, sci-fi, and action. Each level is packed with hidden areas and collectibles, giving players a reason to explore every corner. One of the standout features is Gex's personality. The game is full of jokes, pop culture references, and one-liners delivered in Gex's sarcastic voice, which makes the experience entertaining beyond just the gameplay. The colorful graphics and catchy soundtrack also added to the charm, making the world feel lively and fun. While it wasn't the most groundbreaking 3D platformer on the PS1, Gex Enter the Gecko stood out for its humor, style, and engaging level design, making it a memorable title from the console's golden era of platformers. Next, at number 36, is Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. Released in 1998, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes brought fast-paced, tag-team fighting action to the PlayStation. The game lets players pick two characters, one from the Marvel universe and one from Capcom's roster, and switch between them during battles, creating crazy combos and non-stop action. The gameplay is all about timing, strategy, and pulling off flashy moves. Each character has unique attacks and super moves, and mastering tag combos adds depth for players who want to go beyond button mashing. Fighting arenas are vibrant, and the animations are smooth, making every fight feel dynamic. The game also has a fun, light-hearted tone, with characters interacting and references to their respective franchises. The soundtrack and sound effects match the energetic pace, keeping the adrenaline high throughout matches. While it's not as refined as later entries in the series, Marvel vs. Capcom on the PS1 was a solid introduction to the crossover fighter for home console players. Its fast gameplay, colorful roster, and chaotic fights make it one of the most memorable fighting games on the system. Next at number 35 is SpongeBob SquarePants SuperSponge. Released in 2001, SpongeBob SquarePants SuperSponge brought everyone's favorite sponge into a 3D platforming adventure on the PlayStation. You play as SpongeBob, traveling across Bikini Bottom to collect pages from the Krabby Patty secret formula and stop Plankton's latest scheme. The gameplay is simple and fun, mixing platforming, jumping, and light combat with creative moves like SpongeBob's karate skills or using bubbles to defeat enemies. Levels full of collectibles, secrets, and quirky challenges that keep things interesting, especially for younger players or fans of the show. The game captures the charm and humor of the TV series, with colorful graphics, familiar characters, and amusing dialogue that makes the adventure feel true to the SpongeBob world. The soundtrack is upbeat and playful, adding to the overall lighthearted tone. While it wasn't the most complex platformer on the PS1, SpongeBob SquarePants SuperSponge stands out as a fun, family-friendly title. Its mix of humor, creative level design, and recognizable characters made it a memorable pick for fans of the series and a solid part of the PS1's platforming library. Next at number 34 is Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Released in 1999, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver brought a dark, atmospheric action-adventure experience to the PlayStation. You play as Raziel, a vampire-turned-wraith, seeking revenge against Kain and exploring a mysterious gothic world full of secrets and danger. The gameplay combines exploration, puzzle-solving, and combat. Raziel can shift between the material and spectral realms, which adds a unique twist to both puzzles and level design. Combat involves slashing enemies, using special abilities, and timing attacks strategically, making each encounter feel engaging without being overly complicated. The game stands out for its rich story and immersive world. The gothic visuals, haunting soundtrack, and cinematic cutscenes help create a moody atmosphere that draws players in. The writing is clever and darkly poetic, giving the game a memorable narrative edge compared to other PS1 titles. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver became a classic for its combination of engaging gameplay, clever mechanics, and compelling story. It remains one of the most iconic action-adventure games on the PlayStation, and a must-play for fans of darker, story-driven experiences. Next at number 33 is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Released in 2001 on the PlayStation, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone let players step into the shoes of the young wizard at Hogwarts for the first time on console. You follow Harry through his first year, attending classes, exploring the castle, and uncovering the mystery surrounding the Philosopher's Stone. The gameplay mixes exploration, puzzle solving, and simple combat using spells. You can learn different magical abilities in class, interact with familiar characters, and solve challenges that make use of your spells. The game isn't too difficult, making it accessible for younger fans while still offering plenty of content to explore. Visually, the game captures the look of Hogwarts and its surroundings fairly well for the PS1, with colorful environments and recognizable characters. The soundtrack and sound effects also add to the magical atmosphere, helping to bring the world of Harry Potter to life. While it's not the deepest or most challenging PS1 title, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was a fun and faithful adaptation of the book, giving fans a chance to experience Hogwarts firsthand and start their journey into the wizarding world. Next, at number 32, is Driver. Released in 1999, Driver brought an exciting mix of driving and action to the PlayStation. You play as undercover cop Tanner, taking on dangerous criminals across several cities while completing high-speed missions filled with car chases and crashes. The gameplay focuses on driving, but it's not just about getting from point A to point B. Players must evade police, ram enemy vehicles, and navigate tight city streets at high speeds. Each mission tests your driving skills, precision, and timing, making the game both challenging and fun. The PS1 graphics were impressive for the time, with detailed city environments, traffic systems, and realistic vehicle models that added to the immersion. The game also featured a cinematic feel, with cutscenes that made you feel like you were in an action movie. Driver became a hit thanks to its combination of intense driving, engaging missions, and open-world city layouts. It set the stage for a series of sequels and remains one of the PlayStation's most memorable action-driving games. Next, at number 31, is Final Fantasy Tactics. Released in 1997, Final Fantasy Tactics brought deep, tactical role-playing action to the PlayStation. Unlike traditional RPGs, this game focused on grid-based battles where positioning, strategy, and character abilities are key to success. You follow the story of Ramza and his companions as they navigate political intrigue, betrayal, and war in the Kingdom of Ivalice. The narrative is darker and more complex than many other PlayStation RPGs, giving players a mature, engaging story to experience alongside challenging battles. The game's class and job system allows characters to switch roles and learn new skills, offering a ton of customization and replay value. Battles require careful planning, making each encounter satisfying when executed well. The isometric graphics and detailed sprites make the world feel alive, and the soundtrack by Hitoshi Sakimoto complements the epic tone of the story perfectly. Final Fantasy Tactics is considered one of the best tactical RPGs on the PS1. Its deep strategy, intricate story, and memorable world make it a fitting end to part 1 of our countdown of the best PS1 games. And that wraps up part 1 of our list of the best PS1 games of all time. We've gone through 60 to 31, but we're only halfway there. The next part is where the real legends show up, iconic titles that defined an entire generation. Don't miss part 2, where we count down from 30 all the way to number 1. See you there.